Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call to order the Public Improvement Commission hearings of the City of Boston. Today is April 14, 2021. First order of business, Mr. Liming, could you do a roll call for me, please?
Certainly. Would the representative of the Public Works Department please state his or her name?
Parag Jaisinghe.
Property Management Department?
Callahan, and I just want to put out for the record, I need to leave the meeting today at 1 p.m.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you. Thank you, Joe. Transportation Department?
Amy Gordon.
Water and Sewer Commission?
Denise Devlin.
Disabilities Commission?
Sarah Leong.
And my understanding is we have no representative from ISD today, but we do have a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Liming. First item on the agenda, approval of the hearing minutes. At the request of the Public Improvement Commission staff, the acceptance of minutes of the PIC hearings held on March 31st, 2021. I'd like to hear a motion to that effect.
I'll make a motion to approve the hearing minutes of March 31st, 2022.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed to abstain? Hearing none, motion passes. Utility pole hearing segment of our agenda. First item, on a petition by Eversource Energy for a pole installation within Fairwood Avenue, a public way, East Boston, to install one new utility pole to be located on its southerly side at address number 154, generally east of Valor Road. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. My name is Katie Flaherty from Eversource. We are here to ask to install that pole, 63 feet of the existing pole, and it's necessary to supply electric service for the Orient Height Housing Project redevelopment. Can you hear me? Okay.
We can't see you, we can hear you, and that's about it from our end.
Let me try this. Here I am. Can you see me now?
We can see you.
Barely.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
You be kind to present your plans or share your plans with us.
Yeah, let me share. Screen 2. Can you see it?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Thank you.
So there's the location there of the proposed pole. And the engineer that designed the job said that they needed that distance to avoid slack from across the street from this existing pole. That's why they needed to put that in.
Thank you. Any comments by fellow commission members to the petitioner? Hearing none, Todd, did you all get a chance to look at this proposal? And are there any comments by PSC staff?
Yes, we've looked at it. We're all set.
Thank you, Todd. Are there any comments by members of today's audience?
I see none, though I will take this opportunity to remind members of the audience if they wish to add testimony, they should please use the raise hand feature at the bottom of their screen.
Thank you, Mr. Liming. Hearing no further comments, I'd like to hear a motion regarding utility pole hearing number 1.
I'll make a motion to approve a petition by Eversource Energy for a pole installation within Fairwood Ave as read into the record by the chair.
Todd's working on the engineering,
Second.
so that's even better. And I think we should be done. You know, he just met with the customer out
Thank you.
last week, Tyler. So we got permission on that. I talked to him about it.
Excuse me, I believe there's someone who is speaking. If you could be ever so kind to mute your phones or your means of communication so that it can be to the benefit of the members. Truly appreciate it. Thank you. I believe the motion was made and seconded. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed or abstained? Hearing none, motion passes. Utility pole hearing number 2 on a petition by Eversource Energy for a pole installation within London Street, a public way, East Boston, to install one new utility pole to be located on its southerly southeasterly side at address number 149, southwest of Porter Street. Good morning.
Like, you know,
Hi, good morning. Let me share that plan as well.
jumping on that now, so really good work. He like took it upon himself totally too, like preach. Yes, I agree.
Can you see that now? Sorry, having some trouble here.
Not yet, Katie.
Not yet. Screen.
Yeah, it is, and I think it might.
Oh, hold on.
I mean, I already know about.
Todd, I think we are getting some background noise from the combined workspace which Katie might be utilizing. Is it possible for you to share the screen so this way we can actually control the volume of content?
I still have to put that bid, I think.
Or Ashley, do you have that ready to go, or you want to share it?
I did.
Still waiting on the
That's already-
laptop.
But I'll just send Mark a friendly reminder
Can you see it now?
with everything,
Sorry.
you know, or whatever. Well, actually, the EFO, I'll find it.
I'm having trouble sharing that one. Try one more time. Thank you, Todd.
Brian, those, any release manhole cover?
So this is to install one, thank you, Todd. One new pole 40 feet southeast of pole 47 over 16, and it's necessary to supply the electric service to the new 6-unit apartment building located at 25 Porter Street. So there's the new pole location there, and then that's the new construction over there.
So the sign on your plan that is right behind the pole is a stop sign.
Yeah, I think Kelly, my supervisor Kelly, talked to maybe, I don't know who, but she did tell me that the plan is that when we install the pole, we'll move the stop sign onto in front of the pole.
Well, Power BI has.
Okay, well, so I think that in that, right, if you're moving the stop sign to in front of the pole, like, right, like that, where we put the stop sign is somewhat important. So I think it's more that where the pole slides so that the stop sign can be still where we would like a car to stop, right? Like they can maybe switch positions, but, right,
Yeah,
I think we can't just keep sliding a stop sign down the road.
That's probably what she meant, Amy. I might have said it wrong.
Also, why aren't we putting this in the gravel at the back of the sidewalk with the large highway signs? Why does this have to be in the sidewalk at an intersection?
I don't have the answer for that. I can bring back your question
Brian's always got.
and let you know.
Yeah, I mean, like it shows is owned by City of Boston. It clearly has a bunch of highway signage, and there's a bunch of dead space in front of that fence line right there. I think that that'd be a better spot for the pole.
I can find out that answer.
Any additional comments by PNC staff? Hearing none, I'm of the opinion that you should field review this with or without the participation with PIC staff and address Ms. Cording's comments. And also, something that has been asked by all petitioners is to submit a recent photograph of this location so that, oh, you have done that, my bad, sorry.
Yep.
Okay, so there you go. So I think Ms. Cording's comments are
Is back there.
spot on as always. So your plans need to be reflected accordingly.
Understood.
Because putting poles within the concrete path of travel is highly undesirable. We are trying to keep the sidewalk so that when I'm in a wheelchair, I can actually get to that crosswalk. Okay, so please amend your plans, resubmit them to the city's review, and that would require us to continue this hearing. Todd, is that correct? Sorry, Mr. Limey.
Sorry, yes, we can continue this.
So we'll continue it for 2 weeks, assuming that you can get your ducks in a row and submit a appropriate set of plans. Is that okay with you?
Sure, understood.
Wonderful. I'd like to hear a motion to continue the second utility pole hearing for 2 weeks. That should take us through May 12th.
I'll make a motion to continue utility pole hearing number 2 for 2 weeks until
April 28th.
April 28th.
My bad.
Second. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstain? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you. Moving
Thank
on
you.
to the public hearings continued portion of our agenda. Public hearing continued, item number 1, on a joint petition by the City of Boston's Mayor's Office of Housing and the Boston Redevelopment Authority, doing business as Boston BBDA, for the widening, relocation, and extension of the existing right-of-way lines of Harold Street, a public way in Roxbury, from Allworthy Street to Hollander Street. This was brought under new business on March 3rd of this year. First public hearing was March 17th, continued to March 31st, as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston, Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Widening and Relocation and Extension Plan, Harold Street, Public Way, Roxbury, 5 sheets dated March 31st, 2022. Good morning.
I'm Jay Lee from the Mayor's Office of Housing.
Good morning, Jay. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. We'd like to continue our requests until the May meeting. The reason is that we would like to have a little bit more time to review the plans with the local community and neighborhood groups in that area at their request.
That's fine, Jay. So our first meeting in May would be May 12th. That is 4 weeks from now. I just want to make sure we are both on the same page that you are requesting a 4 weeks continuance on this item.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you, Jay. Like to hear a motion to support Mr. Lee's request.
I'll make a motion to continue public hearing continued item number 1 is read into the record by the chair until May 12th.
Do I hear a
Second.
second? All in
Second.
favor? All in
Aye.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstain? Hearing none, motion passes. Public hearing number 2 on a joint petition by the City of Boston Mayor's Office of Housing and the Boston Redevelopment Authority, doing business as BBDA, for the discontinuance of any and all rights to travel the public may have had within a section of Allworthy Street, a public way, Roxbury, located on its southerly side, generally west of Harold Street. This was brought under new business on March 3rd of this year. First public hearing was on March 17th, continued through March 31st, as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Discontinuance Plans, Allworthy Street, Roxbury, 1 sheet dated May 18, 2021. Mr. Lee?
I'd like to make the same request to continue until the next May meeting.
Thank you. Like to hear a motion?
I'll make a motion to continue public hearing continued item number 2 for 4 weeks to the May 12th hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstain? Hearing none, motion passes. Public hearing number 3 on a joint petition by the City of Boston Mayor's Office of Housing and the Boston Redevelopment Authority, doing business as BBDA, for the discontinuance of any and all rights to travel the public may have had within a section of Hollander Street, public way, Roxbury, located on its northerly side, generally west of Harold Street. This is brought under new business on March 3rd. Public hearing was on March 17th, continued through the 31st, as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Discontinuance Plan, Hollander Street, Roxbury, 1 sheet dated May 18th, 2021. Jay?
I'd like to make the same request to continue until the first May meeting.
Like to hear a motion to that effect?
I'll make a motion to continue public hearing item continued number 3 as read into the record by the chair till May 12th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstain? Hearing none, motion passes. Jay, we'll see you in
Thank
2
you.
weeks.
All right, thank you.
Public hearing continued. Number 4 on a petition by National Grid for the making of specific repairs within Ruggles Street, a public way, Roxbury, located on its southwesterly side, southeast of Huntington Avenue, consisting of curb, sidewalk, and pedestrian ramp reconstruction. This was brought under new business on March 17th of this year. First public hearing was on March 31st. As shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston, Public Works Department, Engineering Division, specific repairs plans, Ruggles Street at Huntington Avenue, gas regulator station, Boston, 2 sheets, dated April 4th of 2021. Good morning. Good morning. Do we have any person from National Grid?
Right. Good morning, Commission members. Peter Nagel from National Grid. I am joined by Sam Luifo from National Grid, who is our regulator station engineer, as well as Steve Damiano from Power Engineering, who is our permitting consultant. Before you today, National Grid would like to seek the Commission's approval for a replacement of an existing regulator station located in Ruggles Street, adjacent to Huntington Avenue. This station was built originally in 1991, and what we are proposing to do is replace that station with a 3-vault chamber within the sidewalk layout after consulting with PIC staff and city folks. I think we have a plan here that meets everyone's needs. The plan would be to replace, as I indicated, replace the existing station in the sidewalk layout with 12-inch inlet piping and 16-inch outlet piping. All of that main work would occur within that sidewalk on Ruggles Street, just beyond the I'll call it the service entrance to Wentworth University, which would be depicted by the crosswalk area there. We'd anticipate, if given approval, the work would take about 8 weeks to complete. The so-called skater box would be pole mounted, again with PIC staff approval, and then the vent boxes, or the vent poles, if you will, would be located adjacent to the curb line on Ruggles Street itself.
Thanks, Peter. Peter, not sure whether you are aware, we can hear you, and I've known you for some time. I can recognize your voice, but we don't see a video link for you. Plus, we didn't see any plans that were shared with us. So either Sam or someone will have to, there you go.
Was that? I'm looking, I apologize, Par, I'm looking at the plans that I thought you were looking at as I discussed them.
Can you see it?
Can you see that now?
Yes, we can, Peter.
Oh, all right, good. So that's the plan set that I was referencing for the station replacement power.
Thank you, Peter. Any comments or questions by fellow commission members regarding the testimony which Mr. Nagel submitted to us right now? Hearing none, any comments by PSC staff and or members of today's audience?
Yeah, so National Grid is actually waiting on us to give them some final ramp designs for this location. They're going to install some new compliant pedestrian ramps here since they're going to be ripping up some of the sidewalk anyway, so they're kind of doing us a favor. So as soon as they get that information from us, they can finalize these plans, but the crosswalk and ramps are going to look essentially as they are shown here. This first action is for their sidewalk work. This prepares a petition, and their next one is going to be for the associated utility installation.
Thank you, Todd. Just so that we are all on the same page, The design work is being done by the City of Boston. Set plans will be given to National Grid for their execution as part of this project. And the current PSC plans are adequate in its reflection of what is to be done. And the work will be inspected by respective parties to ensure the compliance of the ramps being built to the city standards. Something like that?
Precisely.
Thank you,
Yes.
sir.
Correct.
Any further comments by?
Apologies, commission members. I thought that we were doing the station first and then the sidewalk, so apologies for that misstep on my part.
Peter, I'm sorry, are you, Todd, did you hear what Mr. Nagel said?
Yeah, we're all set.
We are all set, good stuff, don't need to rework the issue. All right, so at this point, I'd like to hear a motion regarding public hearing continued item number 4.
I'll make a motion to approve a petition by National Grid for the making of specific repairs in Ruggles Street as read into the record by the chair, contingent upon the final design from Public Works on the ramp crossings.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstain? Hearing none, motion passes. Public hearing continued, item number 5. On a petition by National Grid for a grant of location to install a gas regulator station and associated infrastructure within Ruggles Street, a public way, Roxbury, located southeast of Huntington Avenue. This was brought under new business on March 17th of this year. First public hearing was on March 31st. As shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Ground Up Location Plans, Ruggles Street at Huntington Avenue, Gas Regulator Station, Boston, 3 sheets dated April 4th, 2022. Go
Good
ahead.
morning, Commission. Good morning, Commission members. Peter Nagel from National Grid, joined by Sam Uifo, our regulator station engineer, as well as Steve Damiano from Power Engineering, who is National Grid's permitting consultant on this project. What you have before you today, Commission members, is the previously referenced station that we worked with PIC Commission staff and pertinent city officials to reach a design where the existing layout of the station would be replaced in kind in the sidewalk with resultant 12 and 16-inch coated steel piping, as well as a replacement of the 2-vault system with a 3-vault system with the aforementioned vent poles on the sidewalk, the sidewalk adjacent to Ruggles, as well as the pole mount skater box, which you can see is closer to the proposed crosswalk with ADA compliant ramps.
Thank you, Peter. Going to ask a totally stupid question, obviously, everyone. I'm going to assume that the covers of your 3 walls, the actual cover, is absolutely ADA compliant to today's standards.
Yes. Yes, we, as some of the commission members are aware, we've had a couple of meetings with the ADA, with Persons with Disabilities Commission, and instituted a pilot program that we have continued with those compliant and accepted Bilco doors, if you will.
Thank you, Peter. Appreciate that. And as always, work that is being approved by the Commission on matters of this nature, if and when the standards should change and evolve, that you will do the necessary adjustments so that your assets are in compliance with our right-of-way needs. I'm going to assume that understanding is still current with you. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Thank you, sir. Any comments by PSC staff PSC staff? Wrong. Any comments by fellow commission members first? Hearing none. Any comments by PIC staff and or members of today's audience?
No, none.
Excellent. Like to hear a motion regarding public hearing continued item number 5.
I'll make a motion to approve a petition by National Grid for a grant of location in Ruggles Street as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstain? Hearing none, motion passes. Public hearing continued item number 6 on a petition by National Grid for the making of specific repairs within the following public ways in South Boston, consisting of curb realignment, sidewalk reconstruction, as well as new and relocated pedestrian ramps and street lighting infrastructure. West 2nd Street, generally at West 3rd Street. West 3rd Street, generally at West 2nd Street. This was brought on a new business on March 17th of this year. First public hearing was on March 31st. As shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Specific Repairs Plan, West 2nd at West 3rd Street, Boston, 3 sheets dated April 6th of 2022. Peter?
Good morning, Commission members. Peter Nagel from National Grid, joined by Sam Uifo, our regulator station engineer, as well as Steve Damiano from Power Engineering, who is National Grid's permit consultant on this project. National Grid has long heard the Commission's desire to get its infrastructure out of the public rights of way, ideally on adjacent properties. That was not possible here. So what the Commission has before you is a plan to do some robust streetscape and curb work to accommodate a new regulator station in that vicinity, which is presently in the existing roadway layout. So working from left to right on the screen with the plan in front of you, the cross-hatched areas are the new curb lines which have been approved by pertinent city officials working diligently with PIC staff. That new deeper shaded line, the black line, represents about a 5 or 6 foot outcrop from the existing curb line on West 2nd Street as you approach West 3rd. Moving to the right, you can see a new compliant ADA ramp, which will enter into a new crosswalk going across West 3rd Street. Similarly, on the right-hand side, you're coming into a new ADA compliant ramp. On that landing area, there is again a new curb layout, which again, in most areas is about 4 feet bumping out from the existing, which is shown again in the crosshatch. That area will be the future location of the proposed location of the regulator station as well. Above that crosshatch, you see again that curb bump in there on West 2nd, coming over to a compliant ramp which runs over to a new crosswalk crossing West 2nd, which will bring pedestrians across to another compliant ramp on that sidewalk on the other side of the street. Back to the West 3rd side, left of the existing crosswalk area, while the bump in is there above him on the dark crosshatch, will show where there'll be no parking areas to protect any pedestrians in that area, as well as to the right, again, a small no parking area where parking would start just beyond that on West 2nd. Additionally, National Grid is proposing with Public Works Department Street Lighting Division's support 2 new light fixtures, one on West 2nd Street, which provided the commission members can see is indicated by the dancing arrow there, if you will, and then one on West 3rd Street as well.
Thank you, Peter. Any questions or comments by fellow commission staff?
Yeah, so, yes, I think first the streetlights should be on the plan, the new ones. Second,
The streetlight is here. So
Okay.
we're going to show it on the detailed design.
Can you hear? Sam, speak up.
So Amy, we're going to show it on the detailed design. We're thinking we're going to do the rec station first before the specific repairs plan. So on the repairs plan here, you have these are street lights as requested by lighting department. And then we're going to make a connection from here to the electric manhole cover here for the city. And the same thing here, the light pole is over here with connection to the electric manhole cover here. We've already agreed that with the city, the lighting department.
okay, and then my next question is, the plan that you show right here, the curb line is different than on the plan that you were talking about. Once again, the curb line on the top portion of this is changed again, and you're showing a different curb line with flex posts.
So what we did here was that when we got the drawings from the city at about, I think about 4:51 or something on Monday. So what we did was that I went to the specific repairs plan, and then we put a cloud around it, and then we put a note there, refer to City of Boston's layout plan, including crosswalk/ADA ramp design, see attached. So we referenced it in this drawing to let the city know that there was a modification. And then we took the city's design that the city gave to us, and we attached it to this pic set to show that once we're done, this is what National Grid will give the city exactly what is shown in this drawing here.
Yep, I think, I get it. I think that the issue that I have with this design is like, we're now creating a point where we won't be able to plow or sweep here because we're putting this ramp behind a little bit of flex posts, right? So it's gonna be a tricky spot. So I think that, this is not anything that you're doing, right? Like, we gave you something, but I think that, right, if we look at everybody's considerations in here, I think that that just stands to change. I assure you it wouldn't be any different than the one that was on the previous plan, but I think it's really just whether or not putting flex post at this location makes sense.
Yeah, so one thing we can guarantee you, Amy, is that whatever final design or restoration plan the city has for this location, National Grid will provide the support.
And the light that used to be on this corner that you're taking away used to have the street name signs on it. It was like a hero square. It had a variety of things attached to it. If you move it and replace it with 2 different lights in 2 different locations, then those signs need to find their way back to the corner.
Sure.
Thank you, Stan.
And
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
No, sir.
Sorry, Dennis, are you okay with the new geometry of the new curb lines so that the water actually gets to the catch basin right next to the crosswalk?
Yes, this was reviewed this morning and there were no issues with it.
Awesome, thank you, Dennis. Any further comments by fellow commission members? Hearing none, comments by PSC staff and all members of today's audience?
No, we appreciate National Grid working with us to get to a design. So the final PIC plans will reflect exactly what everybody is looking for here, and I think we're pretty much there.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Lamy. Like to hear a motion regarding public hearing, continued item number 6.
I'll make a motion to approve a petition by National Grid for the making of specific repairs within West 2nd Street and West 3rd Street, as read into the record by the chair, contingent upon the final design they received from Public Works.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Let's finish this one.
Anyone opposed or abstained? Hearing none, motion passes. Public hearing number 7 on a petition by National Grid for a grant of location to install a gas regulator station and associated infrastructure within the following public ways in South Boston: West 2nd Street, generally at West 3rd Street; West 3rd Street, generally at West 2nd Street. This is brought under new business on March 17th of this year. Public hearing, first one was on March 31st. As shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston, Public Works Department, Engineering Division, grant of location plans, West 2nd at West 3rd, Boston, 3 sheets dated April 6th of 2022. Peter?
Good morning, Commission members. Peter Nagel from National Grid. I'm joined by Sam Oifo, our regulator station engineer, and Steve Damiano, who is our permitting consultant from Power Engineering. The plan the Commission has before it today is a replacement of an existing 1960 regulator station that would be replaced with a 3-volt chamber. The existing station serves about 5,400 customers. And what we would like to do with Commission approval would be to place that vault within that newly configured area, sidewalk area, if you will, adjacent to the building at the corner of West 2nd and West 3rd. This construction would require about 80 feet of inlet piping and about 40 feet of outlet piping, both within that newly configured sidewalk area as well as into the new roadway layout on the outlet piping. Again, there would be 3 vent poles, which again, with working with PIG staff, we have located at the sidewalk on West 3rd Street, which would be roughly 6 feet of passage on that newly created sidewalk area from the newly configured vault doors. Similarly, the skater box on this location would be proposed and has been requested to be placed adjacent to the building at the widest part, if you will, of the newly configured sidewalk area there. Again, the work on this a little bit more robust, probably about a 12-week process that would be inclusive of the previously heard hearing as well as the installation of the new station. I'll turn it over to Commission members if they have any questions.
Talk about light poles.
Thank you, Peter. Any comments or questions by fellow Commission members? Hearing none, any comments by PIC staff and or members of today's audience?
Nope, all set.
Like to hear a motion regarding public hearing, continued item number 7.
I'll make a motion to approve a petition by National Grid for a grant of location in West 2nd Street and West 3rd Street as read and directed by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstain? Hearing none, motion passes. That concludes the portion of our agenda that had continued public hearings. Now moving on to the public hearing segment of our agenda. The first 6 items, I believe, are from Verizon New England, Inc. So I read the first petition, public hearing number 1. On a set of 3 petitions by Verizon New England, Inc. for a grant of location with lead company status and no participants to install new telecommunication conduits with City Shadow within the following public ways in South Boston: Monsignor Dennis O'Callaghan Way, generally between Dr. Michael Galvin Way and Old Colony Ave; East 5th Street between K Street and L Street; K Street southeast of 5th Street; East 7th Street east of M Street; M Street between East 7th Street and East 8th Street; This was brought under new business on March 31st of this year, as shown on 3 sets of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Grant of Location Plan 37 Monsignor Callahan Way, 2 sheets dated March 22nd. City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Grant of Location Plan 627 East 5th Street, 1 sheet dated March 2022. And City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Grant of Location Plan 675 East 7th Street, 1 sheet dated March of 2022. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. This is James Watt. I work for Pike Telecom. I'm going to be representing Verizon today on these petition requests for conduit replacements. I'm just going to go through them. If you have any questions, feel free to stop me.
Yeah, James, give me a second. First of all, James, I can hear you, but I can't see you. You may want to turn your video on.
I'm having an issue starting my video. It's not.
That's okay, James. I think today I have some questions. I believe we can see Karen Levick. Karen, if you could be ever so kind to introduce yourself so that we have a record of who you are and who you represent for the record.
Yes, hi, Karen Levesque. I'm here for, I work at Verizon, so I'm here to answer any questions that you guys may have that James might not be able to answer.
Thank you, Karen. Karen, I just want to share some information with you. You all gave us a lot of petitions, a lot of work, and we are actually truly excited about the work which you all are doing. But there's a little but here. Both the PSC staff members and fellow commission members field reviewed some of these petitions, okay? And we found a few anomalies, and that's the best word which I can use to soften the concerns which we have. Quite a few anomalies, and I'll just leave it at that. Karen, the extent of the anomalies which I have seen and the nature of those anomalies, in my opinion, necessitates adjustment to your plans, but that is in advance, not advance, subsequent to a bit of a conversation between members of your team and the individuals that are assisting you with the design work, whoever is preparing the plans. So the anomalies are to that extent. I was hoping it would be something minor that can be adjusted and seek the council and the guidance of the commission members. But that's where we are, Karen. As much as eager as we are to support your program through the commission process, feel a little bit awkward right now not having a set of plans that can be duly processed in some sort of a rational mannerism. The anomalies are to that extent. So that's a very kind and gentle way which I'm trying to say that your petitions, your 6 petitions, it might be in the best interest of your team as well as the commission members if we can continue the hearings, I think we do need to continue the hearings to a point in time where it leaves you adequate time to meet up with us, to have a quick and broad discussion as to the type of anomalies we have seen, and they need to be rectified, which will give you adequate time to update your plans and provide them. So considering the fact that next week is a school vacation week, which might mean that some people might not be in circulation, I'm trying to think of a suitable amount of time where we all can get together, understand the anomalies, then your team to take corrective action and to keep this process moving forward. If I'm making any sense to you, Karen.
Yeah, no, you're making sense, and I understand. I tried to answer, everything was really quick, so Todd sent emails, and I tried to answer them as quickly as possible. So there was some anomalies that were already presented, but we can definitely discuss the additional ones.
So I think just looking at a crystal ball that might make sense for all parties, let's try to aim for a group therapy session for next week amongst all of us. Might be a little bit, it may not bear the fruits because of school vacation issues, unless all of us are here.
Right.
So if we can get together the last week of April, as early as possible within the last week of April amongst all parties, including Mr. Watt and his team, okay, those who are actually putting the plans together.
Yeah.
That way, it should give you sufficient time to submit a set of plans that are void of any further anomalies. And we can aim for our public hearing on May the 1st. I mean, that's the earliest which I can see through. What are your thoughts, Karen, towards all of that?
I mean, you know, if you guys have, because the majority of the anomalies from which it seemed were whether or not the handholds were actually existing in the field or not. So we can definitely update those plans based on the current field conditions. We can meet next week to discuss the items that you guys have in question, and then we can be placed on the next hearing that's available.
Can do it one of two ways. I'd rather, I mean, we can continue it for 2 weeks and then postpone it for another 2 weeks simply because we couldn't get together, and for you all to update the plans, or just do something realistic into 4 weeks. But the choice is yours, Karen. But I think it is needed where your team and the city team huddle together to understand how this pop up.
All right, that's fine.
Okay, so which means that I will open each of these subsequent hearings, but we need a continuance.
Okay.
We are all in agreement. If that continues to make sense to you, Karen.
Yes, it does.
Wonderful. So that all being said, I'd like to hear a motion to continue public hearing number 1 for 4 weeks. That should take us through May 12th.
Make a motion to continue public hearing item number 1 is read into the record by the chair until May 12th.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstain? Hearing none, motion passes. Public hearing number 2 on a set of 5 petitions by Verizon New England Inc. for a grant of location with lead company status and no participants to install new telecommunication conduit with city shadow within the following public ways in Boston proper. Boylston Street from Brookline Avenue, Park Drive to a point northeast of Kilmarnock Street. Brookline Ave, northeast of Boylston Street at Park Drive. Charles Street, southeast of Beacon Street. Beacon Street at Charles Street. Washington Street at address number 755, generally between Stewart Street and Oak Street. Beacon Street, generally at address number 105, southwest of David G. Booker Way. Boylston Street, generally at address number 162 through 176 between Charles Street and Carver Street. Charles Street, northwest of Boylston Street. This is brought under new business on March 31st of this year, as shown on 5 sets of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Grant of Location Plan, Boylston Street, 2 sheets dated March 2022, City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Grant of Location Plan, Charles Street at Beacon Street, 1 sheet dated March 22nd, 2022. City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Grant of Location Plan 755 Washington Street, 1 sheet dated March 2022. City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Grant of Location 105 Beacon Street, 1 sheet dated March 2022. And City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Grant of Location Plan 162 through 176 Boylston Street, 2 sheets dated March 2022. Karen, I believe the same thing, and if you are okay, we can continue this public hearing.
We can do that for the May 12th.
Like we had a motion to that effect, please.
I'll make a motion to continue public hearing item number 2 for 4 weeks until the May 12th hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstain? Hearing none, motion passes. Public hearing number 3 on a petition by Verizon New England Inc. for a grant of location with lead company status and no participants to install new telecommunication conduits with seat shadow within the following public ways in Brighton. Egremont Street, southwest of Mount Hood Road at Egremont Street. This was brought under new business on March 31st of this year, as shown on the set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Grant of Location Plan Verizon Egremont Road at Mount Hood Road, proposed conduits installation, 2 sheets dated March 2022. Ms. Lavec said conversation meetings.
This one, Paris, sorry, this one is not going to a handhold. The scenario is a little different. We're serving an MDU here. Can we proceed with this one?
I would absolutely support you if that is the consent of both PIC staff and all the commission members who had a chance to look at these plans.
Sure, let's go ahead and present the plans and discuss it.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Lavec. Todd, this is your opinion that these plans didn't have the substance or the elements that were a cause of concern to both staff and commission members?
Yeah, this one's a little bit different than most of the other ones. It's actually looks like it's servicing a private property as opposed to a DAS node.
So it is devoid of the anomalies which we have been noticing. Wonderful, let's get at least one thing done. Sorry. Ms. Lavec, if you could ask Mr. Watt to present the plan so that we can continue this conversation.
Yeah, James, do you have the plan ready to present it?
Yeah, Ken, I do. Let me show my screen. Can you all see my screen?
Thank you, James. Yes, we can.
Okay.
Please.
All right, so for this petition request, Verizon is requesting to place 301 feet of conduit consisting of PVC and hard duct city strato. The conduit will begin at Verizon manhole 38/506A, located at the intersection of Mount Hood Road and this is Vermont Road. The conduit will be placed down Everett Road to right of way at the private property line, number 6 Evermont Road, which the customer 6 Evermont Road will continue the conduit placement to their location on their private property. The purpose of the work is to provide new services to number 6 Evermont Road.
Thank you, James. Any questions or points of clarification for Mr. Watt by members of PSC, fellow commission members? Hearing none, comments or concerns by PSC staff and or members of today's audience?
No, none.
Wonderful. Like to hear a motion regarding approval of public hearing number 3.
I'll make a motion to approve a petition by Verizon New England for a grant of location in Vermont Road and Mount Hood Road as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
One opposed or abstain, hearing none, motion passes. Public hearing number 4 on a set of 9 petitions by Verizon New England Inc. for a grant of location with lead company status and no participants to install new telecommunication conduit with city shadow within the following public ways in Dorchester. Edwin Street between Dorchester Ave and Florida Street, Dorchester Ave and Edwin Street, Bay Street and Maryland Street, Maryland Street between Bay Street and Savin Hill Ave, Savin Hill Ave at Maryland Street, Hamilton Street southeast of Columbia Road, Columbia Road between Hamilton Street and Quincy Street, Moreland Street west of Brook Avenue between Moreland Street and Winthrop Street, Pond Street generally between Columbia Road and Pleasant Street at East Cottage Street, Devon Street generally from address number 131 to Laredo Street at Devon Street, Monsignor Patrick J. Lighton Way, northeast of Dorchester Ave at Monsignor Patrick Lighton Way, Magnolia Street, northeast of Interval Street between Magnolia Street and Interval Terrace, Washington Street, generally at address number 60 between Normandy Street and Bishop Joel Smith Way. This was brought under new business on March 31st of this year, as shown on 9 sets of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division, Grant of Location Plan 74 Edwin Street, 2 sheets dated March 22nd. Next set is City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Grant of Location Plan 15 through 65 Bay Street, 1 sheet dated March 2022. City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Grant of Location Plan 11 Hamilton Street, 2 sheets dated March 2022. Next set, City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Grant of Location Plan Brook Avenue, 1 sheet dated March 2022. Next set, and City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Grant of Location Plan 21 Pond Street, 1 sheet dated March 2022. City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Grant of Location Plan 131 Devon Street, 1 sheet dated March of 2022. City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Grant of Location Plan 20 Monsignor P.J. Lighton Way, 1 sheet dated March 2022. City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Grant of Location Plan 275 Magnolia Street, 2 sheets dated March 2022. And City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Grant of Location Plan 60 Washington Street, 1 sheet dated March 2022. Catch my breath. Ms. Levesque.
Yeah, we can continue these. These are all related to the shared handholds.
Thank you, Ms. Levesque. Like to get a motion to continue public hearing number 4.
I'll make a motion to continue public hearing item number 4 for 4 weeks until the May 12th hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed to abstain? Hearing none, motion passes. It's a killing me today. Public hearing number 5. On a set of 9 petitions by Verizon New England Inc. for a grant of location with lead company status and no participants to install new telecommunication conduit with city shadow within the public ways in Roxbury. Pilgrim Road at Francis Street between Pilgrim Road and Brookline Ave southwest of Francis Street. Sharman Ave, generally at address number 724 between Brattle Street and William Street. On Pleasant Avenue from Drew Hill Ave at Dudley Street to a point southwest of Potter Street. Orton Way, generally between St. Alphonsus Street and Turquoise Way. Eustace Street from Dearborn Street to a point southeast of Orchard Park Street. Dearborn Street at Eustace Street. Hammond Street northwest of Sharman Ave at Hammond Street. Coventry Street northwest of Tremont Street. Tremont Street at Coventry Street. Penwood Road, generally between Brookline Avenue and Binney Street. Demont Street northwest of Washington Street. Washington Street at Demont Street. This was all brought under new business on March 31st of this year, as shown on a series of plans, 9 total, 9 sets of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Grant of Location Plan 195 Pilgrim Road, 1 sheet dated March of 2022. City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Grant of Location Plan 724 Sharman Ave, 1 sheet dated March 2022. City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Grant of Location Plan Mount Pleasant Street, 1 sheet dated March 2022. City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Grant of Location Plan 49 Orton Way, 1 sheet dated March 2022. And City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Grant of Location Plan 146 Eustace Street, 1 sheet dated March 2022. City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Grant of Location Plan 15 Hammond Street, 1 sheet dated March of 2022. City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Grant of Location Plan Covent Street at Tremont Street, 1 sheet dated March of 2022. City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Grant of Location Plan 73 through 109 Fenwood Road, 1 sheet dated March of 2022. The last plan in the City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Grant of Location Plan 41 through 55 Demont Street one sheet dated March 2022. Ms. Levesque.
Para, we have one in there. I believe it's Hammond and Shawmut. I'm trying to have James pull up the plan. That's another MDU
So-
one. The rest of them are hand tools.
I don't think we can decouple.
We can't do that.
Okay.
As much as I would like us to take some action with all of that reading on my part, I'm sorry, I need to label this exercise the way we have petitioned, the way it has been structured.
Okay. All right. That's fine.
I hope you understand.
Yep.
Like to hear a motion regarding public hearing number 5.
I'll make a motion to continue public hearing item number 5 for 4 weeks until the May 12th hearing.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstained? Hearing none, motion passes. Public hearing number 6 on a petition by Verizon New England Inc. for a grant of location with lead company status and no participants to install new telecommunication conduits with city shadow within the following public ways in West Roxbury. School Street, generally between Dixwell Street and Erie Place, Dixwell Street at northeast of School Street. This was brought on a new business on March 31st of this year, as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Grant of Location Plan, Verizon School Street, Dixwell Street, proposed conduit installation, one sheet dated March of 2022.
Yeah, we can continue this one as well.
Wonderful. Motion to that effect?
I'll make a motion to continue public hearing item number 6 for 4 weeks until the May 12th hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstained? Hearing none, motion passes. Karen would truly will help you to get these meetings together as soon as possible so that it gives you as ample time to adjust the plans. Okay?
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Karen. Public hearing number 7 on a petition by Atlantic Oliver Mass LLC for the acceptance of a pedestrian easement adjacent to Island Street, a public way in Roxbury located on its southerly side west of Massachusetts Ave. This is brought out of new business on March 31st of this year, as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division. Pedestrian easement plan 909 Massachusetts Ave at Island Street, Boston, Roxbury. One sheet dated January 17th of 2022 and revised on February 17th of 2022. Good morning.
Good morning. We have been working with Ms. Porting on the Mass Ave curb cut and exit, and we need to do a little bit more research on our side, so we are going to ask for a continuance to the April 28th PIC meeting.
So I'll just note that you guys can go ahead with the pet easement, right? Like what we're discussing is all just part of the specific repair plan. So we can get rid of the pet easement, which isn't really what we're discussing at all. I think the driveway and everything is in the next action.
And Amy, I don't know, this is probably not we could probably do this offline, just tell me if you can, but is Island Street looking to be paved in the
offline?
We can, yeah, well, I can find that out and stuff and we can discuss it. But yeah, either way, we can do the pet easement and vote on that today. And then hold the specific repairs for if you want to continue to look into the driveway.
Yeah, we're talking internally, just about the logistics of how to close that off. So we were just asking about the Island Street. So we can take that offline.
Okay.
So Kevin, if you want us to entertain this item, you need to introduce yourself for the record, if that is okay with you.
Yeah, this is Kevin Sanders, EBI Consulting, and I can show you the easement that we can hopefully act on. Let's see here. So this is the pedestrian easement, which is the area on our property, which we're going to be having the concrete sidewalk on Island Street. It's about 829 square feet and approximately 4.5 feet wide, roughly, on Island Street.
Thank you, Kevin. Any questions for Mr. Sanders by fellow commission members? Hearing none. Any comments by PIC staff and all members of today's audience?
No, none. I'll set on this one.
I'd like to get a motion to approve, I'd like to get a motion regarding public hearing number 7.
I'll make a motion to approve a petition by Atlantic Oliver Mass LLC for the acceptance of a pedestrian easement adjacent to Island Street as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstain? Hearing none, motion passes. Public hearing number 8. On a petition by Atlantic Oliver Mass LLC for the making of specific repairs within the following public ways in Roxbury, consisting of curb realignment, sidewalk reconstruction, as well as new and relocated pedestrian ramps, street lighting infrastructure, and driveway curb cuts. Massachusetts Ave on its southwesterly side at address number 909, southeast of Island Street, west of Massachusetts Ave. This was brought under new business on March 31st of this year, as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Specific Repair Plan 909 Massachusetts Ave at Island Street, Boston, Roxbury, one sheet dated January 17, 2022, further revised on February 17 of 2022. Mr. Sanders?
Yes, Kevin Sanders, EBI Consulting. I would like to ask for a continuance to the April 28th meeting. Sorry, I jumped the gun on that.
Thank you, Kevin. Can we get a motion to that effect?
I'll make a motion to continue public hearing item number 8 to April 28th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you, Kevin. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Public hearing number 9 on a petition by 33A Street Development LLC for the acceptance of pedestrian easements adjacent to the following public ways in South Boston. A Street on its southeasterly side at address number 33 northeast of West 4th Street. West 4th Street on its northeasterly side southeast of A Street. This was brought under new business on March 31st of this year, as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Pedestrian Easement Plan A Street and West 4th Street, 33 A Street, South Boston, one sheet, dated February 3rd of this year. Good morning, James.
Good morning. James Selling from Howard St. Hudson. Joined this morning by Matty Blanchard from Howard St. Hudson. We are the project engineers. Also joined by Michael Ingersano from 33 A Street Development LLC, who's the applicant. We're here to present the pedestrian easement plan for a new development at the intersection of A Street and West 4th Street in South Boston. Just showing a slide here for reference. It's the of the existing building to be raised. It's the red brick building here at the intersection. Next slide, please, Matty. A couple of slides here of the proposed development. The proposed development consists of a 6-story building, mixed-use building with ground floor retail, a 2-story photography studio with 9 residential units and 34 off-street parking spaces. During the BPA process, there was a request to widen the sidewalks along A Street. The applicant is willing to do so by granting the pedestrian easement. The pedestrian easement along A Street extends for approximately 64 feet with variable width. There's also a slight increase in the width of the sidewalk along West 4th Street, resulting in a granting of pedestrian easement as well for that area that extends approximately 127 feet along West 4th Street. The total pedestrian square footage is 221 square feet for the project. Happy to answer any questions the commission members or the public may have.
Thank you, James. Are there any questions to Mr. Downing regarding the pedestrian easement part of this petition? Hearing none. Any comments or questions by PIC staff and or members of today's audience?
No, none.
Like we get a motion regarding public hearing number 9.
Make a motion to approve a petition by 33 A Street Development LLC for the acceptance of pedestrian easements in A Street and West 4th Street as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstain? Hearing none, motion passes. Public hearing number 10 on a petition by 33A Street Development LLC for the making of specific repairs within the following public ways in South Boston, consisting of curb, sidewalk, and pedestrian ramp reconstruction, as well as new and relocated specialty pavement, street lighting infrastructure, traffic signal infrastructure, street trees, bike racks, and driveway curb cuts. A Street, generally at address number 33, northeast of West 4th Street, West 4th Street, southeast of A Street. This was brought under new business on March 31st of this year, as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Specific Repairs Plan A Street and West 4th Street, 33 A Street, South Boston, 2 sheets dated February 21st, 2021. Good morning, James.
Good morning. James Downey again from Howard St. Hudson. Also joined by Maddie Blanchard from Howard St. Hudson. I'm Mike Intrasanto from 33 A Street Development LLC, who is the applicant. We are before the commission today to discuss the specific repair plan associated with the previously described project. Street improvements are within the public way will include new concrete cement sidewalks, new street trees, new porous pavers within the furnishing zone, new bike racks. There will also be a reduction in the existing curb cut from 19 feet to 16 feet. When we were here 2 weeks ago at New Business, we did receive some comments from disabilities, which we've addressed and shared the updated documentation with them. We also did receive some new written comments from BPDA to look at the width of the sidewalk on A Street, which we were able to make wider. Was basically was the comment. We got that resolved and submitted those revised plans to BPDA for sign off. But with that, happy to answer any other questions the commission members or public may have.
Thank you, Mr. Downey. Any questions for James, either I know there were questions or concerns about the traffic signals and or the location of the ramps. So any questions for Mr. Downey by fellow commission members?
The only question I have is that you verified that we can slide this cabinet.
Right, so our construction group is dealing with that relocation. They submitted plans for that. There has been one round of review comments with BTD on that relocation. It did not come up as an issue. I can't guarantee right now if someone has actually gone out and opened the cabinet and gone through it with BTD whether it's an easy relocation, but it didn't seem to be a problem during the first round of comments. Right now, our construction group is getting ready to resubmit a revised set of plans for that. But I can work offline to be sure that is the case. If we can't relocate it, we'll be back with an adjusted specific repair plan.
Amy, are you okay with that?
Yeah, no, I mean, like, I wanted to make sure that we were actively engaged, right? Like, you know, we'll need to see how much slack we have in some of these wires is really what it's coming down to. So like, I just want to make sure that they reached out to us.
Thank you, Amy. Any further comments by fellow commission members to Mr. Downing? Hearing none. Comments by PIC staff or members of today's audience?
No, we're all set on this.
Like to hear a motion regarding public hearing number 10?
I'll make a motion to approve a petition by 33 A Street Development LLC for the making of specific repairs within A Street and West 4th Street as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstain? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you, James.
Thank you.
Public hearing number 11 on a petition by Cambridge Network Solutions LLC for a grant of location with lead company status and one participant to install new telecommunication conduit with city shadow within Northern Avenue Public Way, South Boston, located between Marina Park Drive and Pier 4 Boulevard. This was brought under new business on March 31st of this year, as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division, grant of location plan Northern Avenue, Marina Park Drive to Pier 4 Boulevard, City of Boston, 3 sheets dated July 30th of 2021 and revised on April 6th of 2022. Good morning.
Oops. Can you hear me now?
There you are.
Okay, I'm sorry. Good morning, members of the commission. This is Herb Bertoni, representing Cambridge Network Solutions. We are proposing to place approximately 675 feet of two 4-inch conduits with City Shadow conduit from Marina Park Drive in Northern Ave down to Pier 4 and Northern Ave, right down here. We have one participant in this trench. It's Verizon, and I am open for questions.
I'm so sorry if I missed this thought pattern at the new business hearing. And second, I apologize for not having such photographic memory. This segment of Northern Avenue, as you can imagine, Northern Avenue has seen better days, worse days, and some days in between. And the road surface have been resurfaced and reconstructed by the developers in this area. So my question is, this segment of the roadway of Northern Avenue, is it fairly new? And
No.
are you going to cut up a good-looking street, or is it a street that looks really, really bad and can survive another cut?
It's not really new, no.
Has it been cut?
There are cuts. There are cuts out here. Yes.
Sorry, no. I'll allow you to speak. My bad.
No, there are cuts out here. Yes.
So it looks chopped up left, right, and center. Yes.
Yes.
So your cut is not going to stand out as a lonesome cut.
No.
Thank you, sir.
No. Thank you.
Questions from my fellow commission members? Hearing none. Hey, Todd, do we know when someone is going to clean up Northern Avenue? Because, you know, I mean,
Yeah, so this is a section of Northern Ave where Eversource is doing their 115 AV line work. WS is also doing, performing a bunch of work out here associated with all of their developments. So this has been cut up for a while. It will be cut up for a while, but eventually between WS and Eversource, we'll have a nice new surface out in this area.
right, one of them will clean it up, right?
Yes.
This is going to be held holding the short end of the stick. Good, thank you, Mr. Liney. Okay, so let me go through my questions. Any questions for my commission members? No. PSC staff, we are all good.
Yeah, so at the last hearing, we asked that CNS coordinate with Eversource and WS to make sure that they're not going to be in anybody's way. Also, it's worth noting that both CNS and Verizon were very cooperative in identifying this location as a good spot to join builds so that we're not cutting twice and installing two separate sets of duct banks.
Thank you, Todd. Again, my gratitude and compliments to all of you that work together to limit the amount of cuts, because we have a series of spaghetti network of utilities underneath these streets. Thank you. If there are no further comments, I'd like to hear a motion regarding public hearing number 11.
I'll make a motion to approve a petition by Cambridge Network Solutions LLC for a grant of location in Northern Ave, as read into record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed to abstain? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you, Herb.
Okay, thank you. Have a good day.
You too. That concludes the public hearings portion of our agenda today. Now moving on to the new business portion of today's agenda. New business item number 1, 60 Guest Street, Brighton, specific repairs, earth retention license, sidewalk campus license on a set of petitions by 60 Guest Street owner LLC. Good morning.
Good morning. Devin Howe from Beals Associates here representing the applicant, owner, 60 Guest Street owner LLC. Here with me today from the ownership side is Mark Barrera from Lendlease, as well as Trey Redmond. Also here with me is our attorney, David Linhart, and our traffic consultant, Guy Busa from Howard Stein Hudson. We're here today to request 3 petitions. one for specific repairs on Guest Street, a second one for a sidewalk cafe, and a third one for an earth retention system. If it's okay with the chair, I'd like to share my screen.
Thank you, Devin.
Just to familiarize everyone with the project. So here we have the Mass Pike on the top side. The project and property location is right here at 60 Guest Street. So the Mass Pike is on the northerly side of the building. There's the Auerbach Center on the westerly side. The Warrior Ice Arena on the easterly side, and the New Balance track and field on the southerly side of the projects. Guest Street generally goes in the east to west direction and sits right in here. Just to give everyone an idea of what the existing conditions is out there, this is a view of Guest Street from the westerly side of the project, looking easterly down Guest Street. The property sits right in here, right in the center of the screen, where all those excavators are kind of standing. So most of the work that we're proposing is right in this area here, which our specific repairs plan more or less is a change to what was originally approved as the master plan project. So really all the work that's to be done out there is more or less proposing changes to what was originally approved, not so much the existing conditions out there today. Moving along to the specific repairs plan, this is a view of our plan. What we're proposing is to alter approximately 102 feet of curbing. The existing curbing out there, or the master plan curbing out there, is this blue line right here. We're proposing to shift that about 102 feet in the easterly direction down Guest Street to really provide more room for streetscape and amenities within this area. As part of that curb alteration, we're proposing to alter the master planned rain gardens, the hardscapes in this area, various locations of trash receptacles. We're looking to add and relocate some benches within this area, as well as the tree wells. And we're also proposing now to construct a total of 13 bike racks kind of located throughout this area. There's 2 in this area here, and the remainder of the bike racks are really in this area, and then generally this area here. As part of the installation of permeable pavers, which you can see through this kind of pattern that extends from right here all the way down, we just want to make sure that any water that gets in that area just drains out. So we're proposing to add a sub-drain underneath the permeable pavers. I don't know if the chair would like to ask any questions on this before I move on to the sidewalk cafe plan.
Sorry, David, yeah, I appreciate the little break to allow fellow commission members to discuss your specific repair plans. First question I have, if I may jump in, I have the floor here. Your sidewalk, it's not a consistent width because I believe your urban design gives a slight variation towards the sidewalk concrete segment width. Am I correct? Yes.
That's correct. And it kind of follows
right.
This red line right there.
Got it. And I'm going to assume that is agreeable to the commission member from the person's commission with disabilities. Sorry, Sarah, is that okay with you?
I believe our preference is to have a straight and continuous and consistent width across the sidewalk for the concrete path of travel. Can you clarify what the pinch point of that concrete path is?
Take a quick measurement. So the pinch point to the edge of the pedestrian easement is about
8 feet?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that does meet our preferred standard for a sidewalk in this area, so that is acceptable to us.
Sarah, if I understood you correctly, the minimum width is okay, but the little piano accordion, that's an old word, the bearing width of the sidewalk is a concern, and your preference is just to get a straight line that mimics the package of the sidewalk, something like that?
Yes, it does meet our standards. However, the preferred design method would to have a consistent width, if at all possible.
Okay, we can update our plan to have a constant width if, that's the commission's preference.
Yeah, Devon, this is that tricky point where, from an urban design aesthetic viewpoint, it may look a certain way, but then when you look at universal access, it tends to be a bit of a situation for those with sighted challenges or people that have difficulty in differentiating color, texture, and things of that nature. So we continue to seek the guidance of Sarah and her team to help us on matters of this nature.
Okay, we can alter that that sidewalk to generally just follow a straight line, kind of as I show in blue on the plan now.
Thank you. While maximizing the width, I mean, bring that line down as much as you can. No, okay, no, slow. Negate my comments. It's your decision with the consultation of Sarah. Okay. Any further questions on this aspect of the petition to Devon from commission members? If not, Devon, you can move to the license. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, either one of the licenses.
Sure. So this is the outdoor seating area plan. What we're proposing is a box right here. It's about 700 square feet. As part of what we're doing inside the building, we're looking at potentially having some sort of like small deli sandwich like place within the building that would serve just some very basic food. It's not intended to be a restaurant user inside the building. However, people that get food inside the building will be able to come out here and just enjoy their food during a lunch break or something of that sort. The intention is to keep this open to the public. We're not intending to cut off access to the public. It will be open, both to the various users within the building as well as the general public itself. The sidewalk, we're proposing to have a minimum clear path of approximately 8 feet again, similar to that pinch point that I identified right there before. What we're also proposing is just some various movable furniture located within this seating area. There would be a streetscape seat wall that follows the southerly side, really demarcates the limit of that outdoor seating area and extends kind of generally in this area through here. And then I did receive a comment yesterday from TIC staff regarding adding a barrier along this northerly edge here to just demarcate the limit of the outdoor seating area. I did have some discussions with Sarah regarding keeping this open to the public and not having a barrier, but understanding that it is PIC's preference to have a barrier within this area. We're going to look at using some stanchions with a chain to demarcate the limit of the seating area on the northern side. Happy to answer any questions the commission may have on this petition.
If you are headed in the direction of stanchions, please make sure that there is a cane detectable edge along the stanchion. So if you're using chains, just having a double chain closer to the bottom so that that edge is cane detectable is preferred by our commission.
Okay, Sarah, do you know if they have guidelines just on like the height off the ground for those that chain?
We typically recommend at least 6 inches.
Okay.
I think to the tune of the previous comment about whether or not this irregular kind of line, it would be nice if the cafe was contained within the paving area, right? And so like if you've got 8 feet, right, rather than the cafe riding and having these slivers of cement concrete as part of the cafe, it would read very clear what's sidewalk and what's cafe if the line followed that.
I agree. I mean, I think that's a great point. And as I was kind of discussing the plan, I think your idea is if we continue that concrete edge, the limit of the cafe area would be right there, just so it's, it's easy to understand what's the cafe versus, what's the actual walkway itself. So we can definitely make sure we update that on the plan.
Devon, can you also amplify quickly the vertical devices that are there to cordon off the cafe, or is it just open? Because we do have sidewalk cafe furniture enclosure guidelines. Amy, can you take it from me if there's a awful noise that is coming from me and I need to mute this otherwise? The sidewalk cafe guidelines.
Yeah, we've discussed this with Devin, and he's going to add details for those barriers to his plans, and we'll make sure that they conform to our standards.
Thank you. Devin, you can continue.
Okay. Would you like me to go to our earth retention petition?
Please.
Okay. So this is, again, along the frontage of the building, along Guest Street. What we're proposing is to, in the assistance of construction, to install sheet piles within the public right-of-way, generally following along my cursor here. The sheet piles would include tiebacks that would extend into Guest Street, as I'm kind of showing in blue on right now. And they'd extend more or less along the entire frontage of the proposed project. After construction is complete, we're proposing to cut off the sheet piles a minimum of 6 feet below finished grade in the areas that it's outside of our property line. And also just the tiebacks themselves would be detensioned after construction. The tiebacks themselves are approximately 35 feet long. Other than that, happy to answer any questions the commission may have.
Thank you, Devin. Today, there was a scheduling conflict with the representative from the Inspection Services Department. He's not able to be at this hearing, so I'm going to do my best to cover maybe a portion of what his concerns might be. Let's start off with Devin, can you adjust the screen so I can get a sense of the location of the utilities that are there underneath our street? The cross.
Sure. Talking about this plan.
That's the one, okay. So the tiebacks are going to be, so I'm going to assume you have contacted all the utility companies and they are aware of the work which you are doing when you are going to be digging and any type of backfill or stability restoration of the utilities. Your team has taken care of that type of work?
Yes, we contacted all the utilities dating back to November actually of last year when we were going through before we made some minor changes to the plan. We've heard back from, I'd say, a majority of them. The only close conflict that was identified out there was an existing catch basin that's shown on this plan here that we're actually proposing to remove as part of the specific repairs plan.
Yeah, Devin, I'm also concerned about any gas lines. I don't know the age of the gas line. I don't know how it might, the size of the gas line, sorry. All it says is there's existing gas line, approximate location, and older gas lines are always vulnerable for, this as well as I do, vibration, settlement, and everything else in between. So I don't know who has not responded to your inquiries, but please make sure that the critical infrastructure asset owners have responded and are knowledgeable about this, okay? So.
Yep, and actually, I'm just looking through my notes. Eversource Gas, they actually responded and said that they have no comments or concerns with the proposal.
Awesome. Next point, you are obviously digging a hole in the ground next to an existing building that is under use. Does that building belong to your portfolio of buildings, or is it completely a third party?
So are you speaking of the Warrior Ice Arena building?
Yeah, the nice, big, nice one over there.
Yeah, we are actually, Lend-Lease may be able to answer this better than me, but we're working closely with New Balance to ensure that there's no conflicts with the Warrior Ice Arena.
So in a very polite, kind, gentle way, we need to have some assurances from you that yes, you all are in touch with them, they have reviewed your plans so that you are digging a big hole and the means and methods of construction is not going to undermine, undersettle, or any of those stuff. So please provide the necessary documentation that PSC staff may be asking you to support the approval of such a petition.
Okay.
Any additional comments by fellow commission members to the three petitions which Mr. Howe presented to us? Hearing none, any comments by PSC staff and all members of today's audience?
No, we're all set.
Wonderful. Devin, we shall see you in 2 weeks. That should put us to April 28th. Awesome.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
See you then. Second item under new business, Victory Road, Freeport Street, Dorchester, specific repairs on a petition by the Massachusetts Department of Conservation and Recreation. Good morning, Stella.
Good morning, Farah. How are you? Good morning, Commission.
Great, fine.
So I'm Stella Lansing from the Massachusetts Department of Conservation and Recreation. I'm the project manager for the proposed Neponset River Greenway extension from Tenyon Beach to Morrissey Boulevard. I'm joined today by Kellen Lewis, our consultant from BSC Group, and Kellen is going to share his screen so that we can show you what we're proposing to do. So just here's an overview of our proposed trail extending from Tenyon Beach on Conley Street and then heading northwards between Abutters and I would say the west side of the I-93 embankment, and then we connect at Victory Road, where this is in Boston's jurisdiction, and then we continue northwards along National Grid to Morrissey Boulevard, and Kellen is going to talk more about the specific area that is within the City of Boston jurisdiction.
Sure, thank you, Stella. So in the overview of this, that we do have a quite long linear project, and the Boston PIC jurisdiction encompasses the intersection of Freeport Street and Victory Road, which is shown more closely on the specific repair plan. So focusing in on that area in the PDF, that from where the MassDOT State Highway layout is reconstructing the intersection of Victory Road and Freeport Street to provide crosswalks, ADA accessible ramps, and connection from the City of Boston Street Network to this path, and connected in to transition from the existing condition to the proposed condition from DCR and Mass DOT. A couple of things to point out is that MassDOT most recently reconstructed their maintenance depot located on this corner of the intersection, which is the southeast corner, and they reconstructed the driveway on Victory Road, as well as their parking lot in here. So there is not a lot of flexibility in changing that based on the grades going back into the intersection. So we have done our best to match that and blend it in with the remainder of the network. And with that, I think that the information shown on the plans includes cement concrete sidewalks, full depth reconstruction for the portion of Victory Road, milling and overlaying the intersection, and the new cement concrete curb ramps.
Thank you, Kellen. Sorry, not meaning to cut you short, but is that the extent of your presentation, Mr. Lewis?
Yes, and additionally to that, one other thing to keep in mind is the adjustment of sewer and drain structures within the project limits as well.
Thank you, Kellen. Any comments by fellow commission members to either Ms. Lensing or Mr. Lewis? Hearing none, any comments by PIC staff and or members of today's audience?
Just one question, actually, I'm just noticing now, the guardrail there on the south side of Victory Road, who maintains that? DCR?
Yes.
It will be DCR, and we'll do the LMI with the city.
Great, thanks.
Yes.
Hearing no further comments, we will see you in 2 weeks. That should put us to April 28th. And Stella, thank you so much for this amazing work which the DCR teams and you guys are doing. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. See you in 2 weeks.
See you. Thank you. Third item under new business, 72 Burbank Street, Roxbury, pedestrian easement on a joint petition by Burbank Terrace Acquisition LLC and Burbank Terrace LLC. Good morning.
Yes. Good morning, Commission. Thank you for having us. I'm Nick Pittman, Senior Real Estate Project Manager at Fenway CDC, which owns Burbank Terrace Acquisition LLC and Burbank Terrace LLC. I'm joined by Katie Fiedler, our architect from Embark Design. I will share my screen. Can everyone see that okay? So we're here to bring, sorry?
Nick, before I
Yes.
figure out how 1 + 1 = 3, Nick, you are with Fenway CDC, right?
Yes, we're the project sponsor for Burbank Terrace, which is an affordable housing development project starting shortly at 72 Burbank Street in the Fenway.
So, yeah, my point is I don't see you on the petition. What's the difference between Burbank Terrace Acquisition LLC and the normal Terrace LLC and Fenway CDC as part of the petition? Todd, if it makes sense to you, I'll be quiet, but so it seems to be a little bit confusing to me.
Yeah, I mean, I'll let Nick speak to the relationship, but I don't have a problem with the representation here.
Yes, I'm sorry if I wasn't clear on this. So Fenway CDC is the project sponsor that owns these two LLCs in question. It will be a ground lease set up for the project where Burbank Terrace Acquisition LLC owns the parcel at 72 Burbank Street and leases it to Burbank Terrace LLC, which is the project borrower, which will receive the mortgage, the state subsidies, et cetera.
Got it. I got all of that, Nick. Awesome.
Okay, great. Sorry for any confusion. So just a quick little bit note of context. Burbank Terrace is this project that will be breaking ground on in June at 72 Burbank Street in the Fenway. It'll bring 27 units, 100% affordable to the Fenway. This is the rendering of the building as completed by Embark. Just some project context for where we are. So just out of sight up here is Mass Ave. Just over here is the Symphony. For folks familiar with the neighborhood, this is the big Whole Foods. This is Burbank Street right here with the parcel, which is currently an empty parking lot. Our CDC office is directly next door. So these are pictures of the site. The pedestrian easement plan that we'll be discussing focuses on this area at the front of the parcel where the building will not extend to, but we will see to the city as an easement for pedestrian access. And so here, I'll just say really quickly, and then I'll pass it off to Katie. Here is the kind of zoomed out view of our pedestrian easement plan. You can see this is the empty parking lot here. This is our CDC office here, and this is Burbank Street running roughly west to east. And then I'll zoom into the relevant part of the easement, and Katie can run through it.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. Thank you everyone for your time. So the zoomed in portion of this pedestrian easement plan essentially is just requesting the easement to provide an accessible concrete path in front of our building. The easement that you're seeing is the approximate line of the edge of the building. So we'll have a minimum pinch point of a 7-foot clear accessible path, which happens, trying to annotate, which happens about here. If you can see my screen, that pinch point. And the majority of the path will be an 8-foot concrete accessible sidewalk. And that's about the gist of it. If there are any questions.
Thank you, Katie. Thank you, Nick. Any questions or comments by fellow commission members to the petitioner? Hearing none. Any comments or concerns by PIC staff and or members of today's audience?
No, none.
Hearing none. Again, Mr. Pittman and Ms. Fiedler, appreciate you all accommodating the city's needs by adjusting your property limits and providing us this pedestrian easement. We truly appreciate that. Thank you. So we will see you folks in 2 weeks. That will be April 28th. Is that okay with you, Nick?
Yeah, thank you. I've been in communication already with Chung Liu about our grant easement. We have a draft, so we will continue working on that.
Awesome. See you in 2 weeks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
New business item number 4, 200 Hancock Street, Bowden Street, Dorchester, grant of location on a petition by Verizon New England Inc. Good morning, Karen or James?
Morning, it's James again, I'm still here, representing Verizon and Pike Telecom. I'm going to be giving an overview of the first of these 3 grant location new business items. Item 4 for
James, we can't see you. We can hear you, but
yeah, I apologize. My screen, my video is not working on my laptop.
Got it. So if you are going to be presenting anything, then you need either backup help or do you need PSC staff to give you some money? There you go, James.
Can you see my screen?
We do.
Okay. So for business item number 4, Verizon is seeking grant location to place conduit from Verizon manhole -444 in the street near 424 Boyden Street. The intended conduit will be placed up to Hancock Street to an existing Exnet shared handhole located in the concrete sidewalk at the front of 200 Hancock Street. And the purpose of the work is to provide new services to Hancock Street. Is there any questions for this? I'll be happy to field them.
Thank you, James. So again, in the at 60,000 foot view, I'm sure you got a sense of some of the anomalies which we had or which we were experiencing on the public hearings 1 through 6 minus one of those ones. Are you of the opinion where some of this stuff needs to be further flushed out per the comments that the city has given? And the only reason I'm asking that, James, He's trying to get a sense of whether we should schedule your public hearing in 2 weeks or 4 weeks. That's the singularity of my question.
I'll jump in. Yes, this is one of the ones that we looked at, and there are a few anomalies. So I think these next few Verizon actions should go to May 12th, in my opinion.
Okay, so at least we know when we get to see you again. But until then, are there any further comments or questions by fellow commission members?
It does look like the Disabilities Commission has a record of at least one accessible parking space in this area along this project limit. So if you haven't already, please coordinate with my office if any relocation is required.
Yeah, we'll do that. Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah. Any further comments by fellow commission members? Or PSC staff and or members of today's audience? Hearing none, James, we will see you in 4 weeks for this item, new business number 4. Number 5, 159 through 185, Sydney Street, Harbourview Street, Dorchester, grant of location on a petition by Verizon New England, Inc.
Okay, on this request, Verizon is seeking permission to place conduit from manhole -2188 at the intersection of Harbourview Street and Sydney Street. The intended conduit will be placed down Sydney Street to an existing X-inch handhole in the concrete sidewalk near the 179.
Thank you, James. Any questions for Mr. Watt by fellow commission members? Comments by PSC staff and or members of today's audience?
Same comments as before, nothing from the public.
Thank you, Todd. James, we will see you in 4 weeks. We will mark you up for a public hearing on May 12th. Item number 6, 345 Old Colony Ave, Preble Street, Divine Way, Columbia Road, South Boston, grant of location on a petition by Verizon New England, Inc.
This request has 2 conduit placements grouped into one item. The first item, if you'll see my screen, the conduit will be placed from manhole 33-131 at the front of 77 Preble Street. The intended conduit will be placed to the intersection of Columbia Road, and it'll be placed down to the shared handhole at Devon Way near 345 Old Colony Ave. The conduit will be placed to a existing X-net shared handhole. Would you like me to move on to the second one, or do you have any questions?
Go to the second one, James.
Okay. So the second conduit, they're intending to place also for manhole 33-131. The intended conduit will be placed to a rotary on Columbia Road to an existing X-net shared handhole in the rotary. And the purposes of this request is to provide new service to Preble Street.
James, can you just zoom out a bit? I'm just trying to get a sense of what you mean by the Columbia Road rotary. This is the, good Lord, got it, I'm with you. Okay, Todd, that rotary, the real estate within the rotary, to whom does that belong to? Is it ours or DCR's or?
Yeah, so the rotary itself is DCR's, but Preble and Divine are cities.
Got it. Okay. Any questions for Mr. Watt by fellow commission members?
Same as my previous comment, we do have a record of a space within the project area. So please, if you haven't already, please coordinate with our office for any relocation of an accessible parking space.
Thank you, Ms. Leo. Any further comments by fellow commission members? Hearing none, comments by PSC staff and or members of today's audience?
No, it should be noted that Verizon has been good enough to consolidate these 2 digs so that they are minimizing the amount of trenching and conduit in the street.
Thank you, Ms. Levick and Mr. Watt on that point. But Todd, I'm going to assume the same 4-week thought pattern applies to this. So, Mr. Watt and Ms. Levick, we will see you in 4 weeks for item number 6. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Moving on to new business item number 7, Milton Avenue, Oak Ridge Street, Dorchester, grant of location on a petition by Externet Systems, Inc. Good morning, someone.
Good morning.
Hi, Keenan. How are you?
Good. How are you? Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Keenan Brin. I'm here on behalf of Externet. I'm also joined by Han from NBNC Engineering, who is going to give some engineering support and answer any technical questions you may have. Han, if you're there, you can go ahead and pull up that first petition.
Can you guys see my screen?
I can say.
Yeah.
There you go. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so our first petition involves three streets, Milton Ave, Galvin Boulevard, and Oak Ridge Street. The proposal here is for a transmission line that will run approximately 285 linear feet. It'll begin on Milton Ave at a pole there, and then it would head essentially south, crossing Galvin Boulevard. And as it goes across Galvin Boulevard, it'll head down onto Oak Ridge Street, where it'll terminate at a pole on Oak Ridge Street. Again, 285 feet encased in PVC. We've reached out to all the city agencies as applicable, and we are revising some plans per Todd's request, and we'll have those to you next week, well in advance of our hearing in 2 weeks. There will be a shadow duct installed here, and we will terminate that adjacent to the Externet hand poles on both Milton Ave and Oak Ridge Street. Again, 285 feet here, and Han and myself would be happy to entertain any questions regarding specifics.
Thank you, Mr. Brain. First question, Todd, help me with this one. Galvin Boulevard is not ours. Do we have the right to approve this thing? When I say it's not ours, it is DCR's.
Yeah, it's MassDOT. So we're not considering the Galvin Boulevard part. We're only considering the conduit that's being installed on Oak Ridge and Milton Ave.
So the limits of the right-of-way of Galvin Boulevard need to be shown. Otherwise, someone else, like I, might come to the wrong conclusion as to what PIC is approving. Okay, so if you could scan up or down to where your match lines are, that shows the Galvin Boulevard part. Sorry, this is...
There you go, right there, huh?
There you go. So you need to differentiate the color coding system so that it is something different outside the city's right-of-way, which would be nothing along Galvin Boulevard. Okay, so that's one. Now, Todd, as far as, because there cannot be this mythical transition point between the two, Mr. Brain, have you gotten permission from the State Department of Conservation and Recreation or Mass DOT to dig through their street?
Yes, we're working through the approval process now with MassDOT.
What does that mean? That means basically the two hearings need to have some sort of a semblance where Mass DOT shouldn't feel pressured because PIC has voted on it, or the other way around because the start and the end are on city property. I want to understand where those levels of communications are in terms of surface restoration, work details, and all of that good stuff.
I can certainly provide that level of detail if necessary for the next meeting.
Just share it with PIC staff so that PIC staff can be in a position to guide us. Okay, so that's one. Two, Mr. Brin, is this again, you are putting in conduits for possible future capacity, as you mentioned when we were, your Hyde Park, Rossi, Dix, you were sort of anticipating some future needs and putting in conduits. Is this a similar exercise? Or did I lose you in my comment?
Yes, this would be similar to what we've done in the past with the shadow ducts.
No, sorry, Keenan. This work, are you strategically putting conduits for anticipated future use, or is there an immediate client or a service that you are trying to provide here?
Right. Well, we would provide the shadow duct from pole to pole.
And just so on and that, so XNet we do all the same with 2 4-inch conduit for the XNet to use and a 1 for the city. So the 2 currently with spare capacity for XNet for their own use.
Todd, could you, hopefully you follow what I'm asking?
Yeah, so I think the question is, do you need to make this connection now because there is a need for additional service in this area now, or are you simply installing this conduit because you think you might need it in the future, but you might not need it in the future?
No, we definitely need the service. As a matter of fact, we prioritize these, Todd, to make sure that we have the ones that are most advantageous to us are in front of you first, and we move on from there. Yeah, this is not something that's planned for future use.
Sorry, Mr. Brin, that's what I was asking.
Okay.
The echoes in this room is not the best, and I'll do my best to speak in a monotone voice to capture the essence of what I'm trying to say. My second question is the condition of Milton Street and Oakwood. Will your cut be the first cut on that street as it is today, or is it a street that has been cut multiple times? How does the street look? I've asked for photographs to support your petitions, and I am unable to see the photographs.
The best answer I can give you is whatever cuts.
Todd, did we lose Mr. Brin?
Yeah, he may have frozen. Connor, I know Arthur with XNet is on as well. Oh, Keenan, you're back.
So, hi, Para, and everyone, Arthur Pino. Para, if need be, I can send people out and take photos of the road, and we can have them for the next meeting so we can see exactly. I do not know offhand if I am the first cut or the cut, any cuts after that, but I can have that information for you for the next meeting.
Arthur, that will be so helpful if you can provide those photographs when you submit the paperwork to Mr. Liming for his evaluation to see whether you are eligible to be put on the agenda. So that will be truly helpful, Arthur, if you can help us on that front.
No problem. And just a question going forward, Para, would you like to see photos for all of these streets prior, or at least have them available for the first meeting?
Prior,
okay.
So Mr. Liming and his team can make an assessment as to the consequences of that first or the 10th cut.
Got it. We'll take care of that. We'll make sure that goes to Todd going forward.
Yeah, Todd, I can provide those with the application as whatever I think is appropriate.
That would be so helpful. Any comments or questions to Mr. Brin or Mr. Pino or Mr. Hahn by fellow commission members?
Yes, similar to my previous comments, the Disabilities Commission does have a record of an accessible parking space along this stretch. So please coordinate with our office via email if any relocation of that spot is needed due to construction.
Thank you, Sarah.
Yep,
Any
I'll
other
be able to do
comments?
that.
Hearing none, comments by PIC staff and or members of today's audience?
No, all set.
So Mr. Hahn, if you could adjust the drawings to reflect the portion of the work on Galvin Boulevard as, not within the purview of the commission, we'll appreciate that. Excellent. We will see you in 2 weeks on April 28th. Is that okay with you, Mr. Brain?
That'd be fine. Yes, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Next item, hearing number 8, new business number 8. Hyde Park at Stella Road, West Roxbury, grant of location on a petition by External Systems, Inc.
Yes, Keenan Brent here again on behalf of Extenet Systems. I'm joined again by Han from MB&C Engineering and Arthur Pino from Extenet. We have another application in front of you for seeking permission for a fiber duct approximately 409 feet in linear feet. It would start on Stella Road at a pole, and then it would head west and then head south down Hyde Park Avenue. And this would all be encased in conduit. Again, we would supply a shadow duct for the length of it and terminate that for the city with a handhole or manhole adjacent to the Extenet location. We've reached out to the applicable city agencies and are making revisions for any suggestions that Todd may have. We should have those to you early next week and readily available for the next meeting in 2 weeks' time. At this point, again, this is a 409-foot run. If there's any questions, we'd be happy to try to take those on both from an engineering standpoint or construction.
Thank you, Keenan. Again, is this for immediate use or a strategic future use?
Yes, again, these are being built for our use in the near future. So this isn't something that would be, constructed and then, we just use, at some future point. We have plans for these as we speak.
Thank you, Keenan. Any comments or questions from Mr. Breen by fellow commission members? Hearing none, comments by PSC staff or members of today's audience, and I believe Mr. Kirkpatrick is here. But Todd, I'll let you take it from here.
Yeah, just worth noting, Stella Road is a private way, so that work will need to be coordinated with the owners of property abutting Stella Road. And also, it's my understanding, Keenan, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is servicing a new DAS node on Hyde Park Ave. And that, Dennis Kirkpatrick, please feel free to add testimony if you like.
Thank you very much, Todd. You actually stole my thunder on Stella Road being a private way, but that's quite all right. I do want to just reiterate from past meetings, I'll put my contact information into the chat room for Extenet Systems. My particular interest is making sure that the local business owners are aware of the construction, try to give them a heads up on construction dates and extension, and try to make this as easy as possible on all parties. That way they can make arrangements for access for employees and for patrons. There is a business cluster within 500 feet of Stella Road at the intersection of Cummins Highway and Hyde Park Avenue, and we're hopefully going to keep them informed. And that was all I had. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Thank you for taking time to joining us today with your very thoughtful comments.
I'll add to I know that this is a private way, right? It's got nothing to do with us, but this trench is going to go right down the middle of the top of Stella Road. My last venture out there, I think the pavement's in kind of tough shape. There's no sidewalk right out here. It just kind of is pavement. So I think that repaving Stella here, kind of curb to curb, would be a benefit to the residents of Stella and have this not be the kind of final straw of the pavement that's out there.
Amy, if you don't mind, it's Arthur Pino again. I will make my way out there within the next week or prior to the next meeting, and just let me review. I'll take some photos, measurements, and we can certainly look at this as a curb-to-curb rehab on the street.
Yeah, no, perfect. I know it's not a long distance, but there's really, I mean, the last time I was out there wasn't really much pavement to speak of. So
Okay.
your trench would be the only pavement, but without the curbs and everything, I think it should be a pretty easy patch.
Okay, I'll head out there within the next week.
Perfect, thank you.
Yep.
Todd, Amy, in your previous slide, sorry for the weird way I'm going to ask this question. Todd, does the Public Improvement Commission have the right to authorize the installation of these conduits within a private street?
No, that's why I said that this needs to be coordinated with the residents out there.
Yeah, so to my point is, so we need the plans to be reflected that the Public Improvement Commission is not authorizing that work. So the title sheet cannot have Stella Road on it, right? Since this commission doesn't have the jurisdiction to.
Yeah, let's add a note to the plan, just calling it out as a private way, and Dennis
Right,
said we have another.
So just want to make all the commission members understand the limits and responsibilities of this commission. It's the big P for public, not for private, okay? So just the plan start, but the guidance which Ms. Cording gave in terms of surface restoration on Stella Road is a voice of goodwill and good reason for those that are living on Stella Road. Because I'm going to assume that the fee ownership of Stella Road are the individual abutters on either side of Stella Road to the middle of the street, if my memory serves me correctly. Right, guys?
That's the presumption.
Thank you. All right, so just adjust the plans accordingly.
I think Mr. Kirkpatrick wants to come back into the conversation.
Thank you. Yes, in the interest of being expeditious, I'm in direct contact with a couple of residents on that street, and I also have direct information on the leadership of the local neighborhood association there. That would be the Mount Hope Canterbury Neighborhood Association, and I'll put their coordinators in touch with Todd, and then Todd can then pass that along to Mr. Brin and to Mr. Pino. Thank you.
That'd be perfect. Thank you, Dennis.
Dennis, thank you so much. We should bring you on to the city team at this rate. But seriously, thank you, Dennis. Truly appreciate your guidance. All right, so we should be able to mark you up for 2 weeks. April 28th. Is that okay with you, Mr.? Yes. Okay, I'm going to assume it's.
Of course. Yes. Yes.
Thank you, Tina.
Yes. Thank you. You're welcome.
Next item, new business number 9, Bowden Avenue, Dorchester, grant of location on a petition by National Grid. Good morning. I'm sorry, good afternoon, my bad. Trying to see who's here from National Grid.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. If you could identify yourself, please.
Good afternoon, Commission members. Peter Nagel from National Grid. I'm joined by Sam Uifo, who is our regulator station engineer, as well as Steve Damiano from Power Engineering, who is our permitting consultant. Today, National Grid has before the Commission a proposal to install a new regulator station on Bowden Avenue. This is the result of a kind of long and circuitous path, if you will, the presentation before you today. We've sought numerous off public rights-of-way easements and access, and while some of those were promising at times, none of those came to fruition. So what you have before you today is a proposal to install a new station to accommodate what is fairly significant growth in that Four Corners area on Bowden Avenue. The existing location includes a 2-foot easement on that sidewalk area on the station itself, which will allow us to move both the station further into the sidewalk, but also remove any vent poles and get most of the traffic box out of the pedestrian access area. This vault will serve roughly 5,000 customers or so. And as I indicated, there's been significant growth both at 330 and 335 Washington Street, Bowdoin at Harvard, Bowdoin Ave at Bowdoin Street, and then Bowdoin at Washington as well. So what we're looking to do is to install roughly 200 feet of both 12-inch inlet and outlet, 200 feet of 16-inch outlet piping, which will respectively tie into Washington Street and Bowdoin Street. Again, this location presented itself, but it is a little bit afield from the existing infrastructure that we'll need to create for that station. This, as I indicated, about 5,000 customers, and we were successful on securing an easement for some of the facilities on that sidewalk. Upon completion, what we'd like to do is, what we've proposed is replacing the existing sidewalk on Bowdoin Avenue in that area of construction. I'll turn it over to commission members if they'd have any questions.
Peter, I appreciate the incremental or necessary sidewalk restoration you are going to do on Bowdoin Avenue, keeping in mind that you are tearing it up. But Peter, on the Bowdoin Washington intersection, that work is basically going to tear up that whole intersection now. What are your thoughts about how you are going to restore and put that street back? I mean, that's going to be one charming little cut, and it is neither charming nor little.
I have to admit, Par, it's been a little bit of time since I've been out there, so I couldn't really comment on what it looks like now. I think what we probably would look at would be as I indicated, that pipe on the north side of that, or the top side, if you will, is predominantly in that sidewalk. The other is coming into the streetscape more significantly. So relative to restoration, I'd have to probably take that as a takeaway, Power, and get back to you relative to that.
Peter, we truly appreciate why you need to do this work, but we are also trying to manage a city-owned asset called a street, where after the cuts and chops and restoration, it needs to look palatable with what the city is aspiring to do. So we truly appreciate if you or your team members can take an assessment of today's condition and suggest to us what sort of restoration work needs to be done with the eye towards owning that street. Put yourself in our shoes and see what needs to be done, because it's a common community which we are serving. Okay?
Correct. I'll go through the commission staff if that works for you.
Absolutely. Please advise Mr. Limey, and he should be able to give you guidance as to whether the level of restoration you are proposing is conducive to the condition of the streets and the disruption that is going to be caused to those that are immediately abutting this neighborhood and this area. So it'll be upon the advisement of Mr. Liming and his team.
We'll do that.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for Mr. Nagel or his team by fellow commission members? Hearing none, comments by PIC staff and all members of today's audience?
No, all set.
Thank you, Todd. again, few photographs can explain reality and the sort of restoration work that needs to be done. So we will mark you up for 2 weeks. That should be on April 28th.
That'll suffice, sure.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you.
Last item on the agenda, new business item number 10, L Street, East 4th Street, South Boston, specific repairs, grant application on a petition by National Grid.
Good afternoon, Commission members. Peter Nagel from National Grid, joined by Sam Oifo from National Grid and Steve Damiano, our permitting consultant from Power Engineering. Again, the Commission has before it a plan that took a little bit of time to reach, working closely with staff. Again, National Grid sought various easements in the neighborhood from abutter businesses and secular groups, none of which were ultimately successful despite numerous efforts on our part to get those easements. So what you have before you is a proposal to replace a late 1960s two-chamber vault in its exact location outside on the corner of L Street and Emerson Street. The inlet piping would be replaced in the sidewalk's entirety, whereas the outlet piping would remain in the sidewalk area or that pavement or the concrete area into L Street, where it would tie in there within that sidewalk area where the larger crosshatch is. National Grid is committed to working with the city on final design on replacing and/or creating ADA compliant ramps on those sidewalks referenced at the corner of L and East 4th, as well as the corner of L and Emerson. The existing or the new vault, the new vent posts would be placed on the corner of the sidewalk on Emerson Street, whereas the vault, the traffic box would be on the corner of L Street. We've looked at a couple of things. Obviously, the access to that cleaners is going to be a key, and there will be fairly lengthy discussions with the business owner prior to any work taking place, obviously.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Sam. Any questions from Mr. Nagel and his team by fellow commission members?
The Disability Commission would like to work with the team further on some of the designs of these ramps. We understand that there are some site constraints out here, but we would, as much as possible, want to explore splitting these ramps into directional ramps, if at all possible.
Alternatively, we could have raised crossings across these side streets.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Amy. Any further comments by fellow commission members to the petitioner? Hearing none, comments by PIC staff and all members of today's audience.
Now we'll coordinate with National Grid, Public Works, BTD, and Disabilities Commission for the design of these corners.
Todd, is 2 weeks enough for this one?
It's a good question.
I'm just trying to be mindful.
Yeah, we can go with 2 weeks, I think, if everybody wants to, and continue if necessary, but
okay.
Yeah.
So we will mark you up for 2 weeks, or obviously we will work towards a common cause. If we fail, we'll just continue. Awesome. So Peter, Sam, thank you so much. We will mark you up for 2 weeks.
Thank you, Commission members. Have a good day.
Thank you very much.
That concludes the business of today's agenda. I'd like to hear a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Have a safe day.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.